We are going to listen to the last presentation, to the last presenter in our panel, Special Forces Standard and Internal Unity, considering the Islamic organizations. This presentation will be delivered by Professor Mehmet Emin. The floor is yours. Thank you, Professor Ensar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. ASRICA Confederation Defense System takes place in its fourth occasion. I would like to wish auspicious outcomes for this Congress. I would like to greet all the participants and speakers of this organization. The speakers have been referring to their academic studies, knowledge, and experience. I think you have also observed that some speakers have referred to the creation of an emergency unit in terms of defense. As a retired SAT commander who served the Turkish military forces for a long time, I will refer to my idea about special forces. My topic is titled Creating the Special Forces Standard and Cooperation as part of Islamic cooperation. What we call as special forces is a unit designed to overcome internal and external threats, serving on any type of territory with the ability to use all technological tools as select soldiers. The special forces concept has an important place in the military jargon, and it has a long established structure, new threat perceptions, and the evolution of the current world landscape into multipolar structure means an extension of the mandate of special forces. One of the important aspects is that they can be mobilized very quickly and also realize the operations very quickly. Generally, they act in the form of small units, using every tool of communication in their operations, and they achieve the sort of activities that cannot be achieved by regular armies thanks to unique techniques and tactics. Why does the Islamic world need such special forces? The imperialist states have been developing a new war conjuncture, which is called paramilitary or outsourced terrorist organizations serving in target destinations with a remote at a low cost and without the necessity to assume any risk. And they inflict great harm on these targeted places. And it is not that easy to fight with such paramilitary forces through police forces or the army. Only special forces that have received tailored training can deal with such organizations swiftly and quickly. Islamic states are trying to overcome these problems by themselves, be it United Nations or NATO. Unfortunately, these international organizations do not help Islamic countries to overcome these problems. How are we going to form these special forces then? Almost all Islamic states has its special forces designed according to the geographical circumstances of their countries. Here, in terms of the structure and formation, we are referring to small units. Such a unity in Islamic countries would not have to incur huge costs. So they may have mutual agreements, and they may exchange 15 to 20 special, a group of 15 to 20 special forces personnel who can mutually execute common techniques and tactics and develop the warring capacity of the partnering countries, foster their capabilities, and also contribute to the development of new drills, the new techniques and tactics. So the drills will enable these countries to achieve standard operation techniques and tactics, and these special forces will be able to operate in a country making a request very quickly. They will be able to interfere and achieve great results. As you well know, the imperial governments can do it by themselves. However, when the Islamic countries do that, they will be the power to have the biggest special forces. These imperial states use formations through NATO and United Nations, but Islamic states do not have a joint intervention unit. Imperial states like NATO do not meet the requirements of the Islamic states, but also encourage the outsourced organizations. So we need to achieve our needs together. In Anatolia, we have a saying like every man for himself. So we need to create a solidarity among special forces as an Islamic unity so that we can overcome this terror, the trouble of terrorism, so that we can enhance the defense capabilities of weak Islamic states. I believe that it can be one of the first steps to achieve such unity and solidarity so that the Islamic states can escape from such trouble, do away with such trouble very quickly. Sadat, which has been established as an international consultancy company as part of an ASSAM, played an important role in terms of organizing these forces. It is able to provide support to an Islamic state which doesn't have the enough infrastructure through strategic support. So if any Islamic state says, I lack in terms of special forces, or if they say, we do not have such an organization, ASSAM also has counterpart organizations which act with the same mandate. I would like to give an example, by the way. We were part of the common joint training of NATO in Germany years ago. And here special forces of NATO members came to the same location for a drill. The goal was to ensure that in a likely operation requirement, we were supposed to create an emergency, an intervention capability, but that training had a face value only, as our president says. United Nations or NATO are just operating as a Christian union. So we need a union that will help us preserve our survival, maintain our survival. I will refer to another example where we were in Germany. Again, we are telling the observers our operation for such a joint requirement. A Greek commander whose country entered NATO thanks to us, of course, observed us. He asked this question. If you see a kid when you conduct this operation, how are you going to act in the most critical stage of the operation? Of course, I would like to share the answer of a clever friend. If only I had given that. Whatever you do, we will repeat as well. Here, what they were trying to say is that you are Muslims, you are killers, you kill people, because he expected us to say that we will kill the kid. So there is this, in fact, fitna in that alliance. Of course, they know about Turkey. They are trying to look down on Turkey, belittle Turkey. He was trying this technique in his own way to trick us. So we know that whenever there's request for special forces from NATO, we will not see anything favoring us. That applies to July 15 as well. We have seen the sort of support they gave to us, or the lack of support they not provided to us. So in my humble opinion, I think special forces will be the beginning of such an action. So two Islamic countries like Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Qatar, Pakistan, we can join it.
But this one needs to be improved. So my humble opinion is that one of the first steps of the Islamic Union is to designate a standard for the special forces and kick off the special forces. But of course, everyone is free to say what they wish.
Hali hazırda İslam devletlerinin en büyük
But
sorunlarından
right at the moment, one of the biggest challenges of the Islamic States is unfortunately this menace of terror. They are clustered in small groups, the terrorists make their operations, and well, of course, I'm talking about Turkey, as well as this. In the other Islamic states, Islamic countries, we have such terror organizations and formations. And, this is actually, externally outsourced, so to say. This is subcontracted work of the, unfortunately, the external forces, the menace, because they can mobilize rather fast. In case of any need, such teams could be sent perhaps to the countries in need, and that would reinforce our position against terrorism and terrorists, which means both eliminating them and simply have an upper hand. I would like to focus on a very specific formation: what to do, how to do, and it's not very difficult. This is my take on the subject. With if we get started with the countries on which we are friendly terms on a mutual basis, the rest will follow. And inshallah, hopefully, this is going to be implemented and the benefits will be reaped. Well, may Allah Ta'ala grant this unity and the presence of special forces to the Islamic countries. Thank you very much for listening to me. And I would like to wish you a great weekend. Mehmet Emin Bey, thank you very much.